welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to film a colour corrector collection style video. That was a bit of a mouthful, wow. I just wanted to show you all the bits that I've accumulated over the past few years, and initially I actually wanted to film a speedy review of this NIP+FAB corrector in the shade Terracotta. I've been using this for a very long time now, and I don't actually think I've reviewed it anywhere. I may have mentioned it on Instagram stories, but I haven't reviewed it on the blog or on Instagram or anything like that. When I sat down to film this, I realised that I don't actually have a lot to say about this. So when I was going through my collection, I realised just how many colour correctors I own. I'd forgotten about a lot of these, so I've dug them all out of my drawer and I've laid them out in front of me. I thought I'd give you kind of the pros and the cons and like a mini review of each one, tell you which ones didn't work for me. FYI, a lot of them, like I would say 70–80% of them don't work for me, and obviously tell you about the ones that do work for me. So I'm going to start this video off on a positive note because this is the corrector that I use as a benchmark for all other correctors. I've used this for years and years and years before colour correcting became trendy almost. I just find that for me personally, concealer on its own isn't enough to like cover my dark circles, and no matter how good the concealer is, or sometimes I have a good day where my dark circles look a little bit lighter, but even when that happens and I just wear concealer on its own, my whole under eye area just looks a tiny bit ashy, and I'm really fussy. I hate that. So my absolute favourite colour corrector in the whole entire world is this Bobbi brown corrector. I have this in the shade dark peach. I've also had deep peach before, and honestly there's really not much difference. Sometimes I'll go in looking for one and it'll be out of stock, so I'll just buy the other one, and there's really not that much difference. As you can see, I kind of have a tiny bit left, and to be honest I haven't used this for a very long time because I found a new favourite that's a lot more affordable, and I guess I've been rationing it out, but I really need to finish this so that I can chuck it in my box of empties and finally get through it. But I think this retails for £19 or £19.50. I will try and link every single corrector down below so that you can have a look at the price comparison, because I just know that I won't remember the prices of half of them. My second favourite corrector, which actually is probably my new favourite corrector, is the NIP+FAB one. This is in the shade Terracotta. I stopped buying drugstore makeup, aside from mascara and little bits, quite a long time ago because I'm always disappointed, and about a year ago I was in Superdrug and I just saw it and I thought, you know what, I have to try it because it's corrector, it's what I'm all about, the shade looks pretty good. This I know retails for £9 because I've just repurchased it, and it's not the cheapest item at the drugstore, but oh my god, is it amazing. It is just exactly the same shade as my Bobbi brown one. Obviously the formula is different. This is a cream formula, this one's liquid, but I just find that the shade is so spot on. It's super pigmented, it doesn't have that greasy feeling, it dries matte, it lasts all day, it doesn't crease, it doesn't alter the way that my concealer goes on over the top, and I absolutely love this. The only thing that I don't like about this, and I'll be honest, is the applicator. I find that it's just a little bit scratchy, maybe because it's a drugstore product and the packaging isn't the most expensive, but I do find that sometimes it can be a little bit scratchy under the eye area, and sometimes I find that I squeeze out too much product, in which case it goes everywhere, and other times there's not enough of it. So it's not the best packaging, but I have to say that I love that it comes in a tube, and I do like that it comes with a brush. It just makes it so much easier, because unlike with this Bobbi brown one, I always used to have to carry a brush because I always have long nails, whether they're acrylics or stick-ons, and I can't just stick my finger into the pot and apply it, so I always used to have to carry a brush. And as you guys know, I live out of my travel makeup bag most of the time, so this is just really handy just to throw in. And I love that it's less than half the price of the Bobbi brown one, but it's lasted me a very long time. I've recently just repurchased 2 of them, so if you haven't tried these, I highly recommend you do. My third favourite, and probably the only other one that I like, is this Sephora own brand one. I'd forgotten about this actually. It's very dusty. It's not as pigmented as the NIP+FAB one, I have to say. I don't really like the applicator on this. It's just a bit weird. So it's like this. It's like a lip gloss, but it's not flexible. So it's quite hard to apply, and it's a little bit of a watery formula, so sometimes I find that I have to build it up, but again it lasts, it doesn't crease, it dries matte, it does do the job. It is probably a bit more than the NIP+FAB one. Again, I can't remember how much I paid for it, so it is a good alternative. I do like it, but again, I would just purchase the NIP+FAB one because we don't have a Sephora in the UK. This one probably costs a bit more. NIP+FAB is just so much more accessible and obviously the most affordable, so I absolutely love that one. But like I said, there's nothing wrong with this Sephora one. I will use it up, I just won't repurchase it. Okay, so there's the only 3 that I do use and do like. The rest, and there's quite a lot of them, are just ones that just didn't work for me. But I wanted to quickly say at this point, there was a MAC one, and I honestly can't remember the name of it. I feel like I finished it and it's in one of my old empties videos, but it's a twist up corrector, and I know that the highlighter is called Light Boost, but they had a peachy one and that used to work pretty well for me, but I've got a feeling that costs more than the Bobbi brown one and you get much less product, so I haven't repurchased it. If I do think of the name of it, I will leave that link down below too. But next up I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 correctors here that are just pants. They just don't work for me. I'm not a fan, so I thought I would talk you through them really quickly. First up, the LA Girl Pro Conceal. I know everyone loves this. I feel like there was such a big hype over this and just the concealers in general a few years ago, and people seem to love this, but I just find it way too orange. It is so pigmented, and I find that I really have to cake my foundation and my concealer on over the top just in order to cover this up, and that's not me. As much as I love wearing makeup, I hate full coverage, really cakey makeup, and so for me, I wasn't a fan. And also over time, the brush tends to go a bit funny. I've noticed that with the concealers too, but it's kind of a bit more of a reddy orange. I don't know if you'll be able to make it out on camera, but this one, so in comparison to the Sephora one, which works for me, this one's got more red in it, and I think that's probably why it doesn't work for me. There's a lot of pigment in it. It may work if you have a deeper skin tone, if you wear a lot of concealer or a full coverage foundation, but for me personally, I'm just not a fan, so didn't like that. This is possibly the worst thing I have ever tried in my entire life. This is the LA Colors Coverup Pro Stick Concealer, again in the shade Pure Orange. I don't even know what this was. I think I've used this once and I was like, what on earth is this? There's no pigment. Okay, there's pigment when you do this, but I wouldn't press that hard on my under eye area. It didn't do anything. Like, it kind of feels a bit greasy under the skin. It didn't really conceal my dark circles. It's probably a little bit too deep for me. I honestly can't remember. It's been such a long time since I used this, but I just remember I absolutely hated it. So I wasn't a fan, but I know a lot of people are. Another thing that I thought was pretty pants was this L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Concealer Pomade. This is in the shade Peach, number 20. Oh my god, can you see? I've literally used this once. It's not the right shade for me. First of all, it feels like a MAC paint pot, kind of. Okay, so I've just got loads of product. It's too neon, I think. I feel like it's too neon. I don't think I like the formula of it. It didn't sit well under my concealer. It's kind of a bit greasy, like a lip balm. It's almost like putting Vaseline under your eye, and this I just wasn't a fan of. As you can see, so this is a Sephora one that I had on initially. The rest are all just a bit darker, so I've realised that I need to go pale, but not so pale that I'm wearing a salmon colour, because again, that wouldn't work for me. So yeah, that's 3. Next up, I have this Maybelline Master Camo colour correcting kit in the shade Deep. Again, I just bought this for the orange corrector and it does absolutely nothing for me. I feel like it was too greasy. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but can you see? I hardly use these. I know straight away if it's going to work or not. I use them once or twice, I just give up on them, which is why I've got such a big collection. But unfortunately, I wasn't a fan of this one either, and I was really hoping I would be, because again, it's drugstore, it's affordable, and it's always nice when you find something in the drugstore that doesn't cost the earth, that actually works for you. I bought that after I bought these, so I've got the colour correcting palettes from NYX and MAC. I feel like I bought the MAC one first, and I was so disappointed with this, because I mean, it's not cheap, it's MAC. This is part of their Pro collection, so I'm not sure that you can buy it on its own, but I feel like you have to be a makeup artist of some description or have the MAC Pro membership in order to buy this. But this is their Pro Conceal and Correct palette in the shade Medium Deep. I'd seen somebody on YouTube use this, and I know that she wears the same sort of MAC foundation as me. She has really dark circles, she wears the same concealer as me, so I had really high hopes for this, but I just don't think I like this sort of cream formula. And I think that's partly because I don't like that feeling of caking on my makeup. I don't like full coverage foundation. I don't like super creamy concealer. Okay, yeah, this is quite greasy and it doesn't feel as pigmented. So let me just put that over here. It's actually reasonably well pigmented. I might give this one another go actually, because it isn't that dissimilar to my Sephora one, which is the original one. Like I said, it has been quite a while since I've used this, so I don't, this is a bad idea. I don't quite remember what I think about this, but I'm definitely gonna give it another go and see if my opinion on this one has changed. So that one I'm gonna leave up in the air slightly. But I also bought the NYX one. I think I bought that first because again, I wanted to try drugstore, but this is their corrector palette, conceal, correct and contour palette in the shade Deep. So again, this is too creamy, not the right shade of orange for me. I feel like you can make these work. I'm not going to let them go to waste. Apart from the ones where I absolutely hate the formula, I feel like I'm going to experiment a little bit more and try and make them work because it is such a waste of product. This one is just way too thick. Like, look at that. I'm just tapping my finger on my hand. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It's just a little bit too deep for me, that one. So it is very orange. If you have a deeper skin tone than mine, then it would probably work for you. But yeah, so sadly for me, this was a bit of a thumbs down. Last but not least, I've actually got this boxed up because I meant to sell it, but I don't think I've listed it on my Depop yet. I was so excited about this one, and honestly, it was just the biggest disappointment when it didn't work for me. But this is the Becca Backlight Targeted Colour Corrector in the shade Papaya. So this is a red colour corrector. I'm sure we've all seen that video that went viral a few years ago where the girl was using red lipstick as a colour corrector, and I'm pretty sure this came out not long afterwards. So I thought, oh, this is different, I'll give it a go. And if you actually look at a colour wheel, technically you can use orange or red to cover up blues and purples under the eyes. So I just thought I'll take a plunge, try it out, and it just didn't work for me. I've tried it a few times actually, but again, it's just not the right shade. And I think for me, finding that perfect shade, sorry, I didn't mean to swear at you just then. I'm just trying to show you that I scraped off a little bit on the back of my nail. Where should I put this? Finding the right shade for me is just the biggest challenge. But as you can see, I mean, look at that. That's just completely out there. It didn't work. I'm glad that I tried it so that I can say I've tried it. But if you compare that again to this one, which does work for me, there's a huge difference. So there we have it. That is 10 colour correctors that I've tried and tested. 7 that I didn't get on so well with, and 3 that I absolutely love. I'm pretty sure there's been a couple more that I've either finished or just hated so much that I had to bin straight away. But yeah, so I hope you found these 10 mini reviews really helpful. I'm definitely going to give a couple more of them another shot, but as you can see from these swatches, there are definitely quite a few that are not going to work for me, and I can see that straight away. Some of the formulas are quite greasy, and I think in particular I'm probably the most disappointed with this Becca one because Becca's not cheap, and can you see the slight shine on this? It's not a matte finish, and I just don't know why you wouldn't want a matte finish on a corrector. It's just a little bit greasy, so that's disappointing. What I'm also going to do, because I haven't done this, I don't know why, is swatch the Bobbi Brown and the NIP+FAB one, just so that you can see it. So that's the Bobbi Brown one. You can blend it in a bit more, but I feel like there's hardly anything left in that pot, and I'm literally going to blend it into nothingness, so you won't be able to see it on my skin. And this is the NIP+FAB one, which is actually perfect. So not the most conventional way of doing swatches. I'm terrible at this, can you tell? But that is the NIP+FAB one that I absolutely love. That's the Bobbi Brown one, that's the Sephora one, and the rest of these just do not work for me. And in case you wondered, my holy grail concealer is this NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the shade Caramel. I absolutely love this. I'm beginning to not like the formula as much, I'll be honest. I find that it tends to dry up quite a bit as the tube gets older. I'm not a fan of that, but it's just really sad because I feel like I'll always repurchase it just because nobody does this perfect shade, and it is really, really annoying. The closest I found is this Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Tan. These two are pretty good, and also I haven't used this one for years and it's almost finished, but this is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer in the shade Y41. But yeah, these are my absolute holy grail concealers. Nothing else works for me. I have tried and tested so many, and before you ask, I can't film a video on these because I've either sold the higher end ones or just binned the drugstore ones. Nothing out there exists that's quite this orange, which is a bit of a shame. But I hope you found this video helpful in some way. So if you enjoyed this video, then please give it a big thumbs up. Please leave me a comment because I genuinely want to know what corrector you use, if you use one. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. But thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!